Hi, it's Jon Mitchell, Mayor of New Bedford, and this is another installment of the Mayor's Weekly Update. So I wanted to talk this week about charter schools, and specifically the proposal before the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, the State Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, concerning the expansion of the Alma del Mar Charter School, which currently runs a kindergarten through 8th school on Belleville Avenue, as many people know. Alma applied for 1,188 new seats under the Massachusetts law that allows for the state to issue a charter to a school whose students would be paid for both out of city as well as state funds. And my position on this all along had been that the city can scarcely afford to take on another charter school. I'm concerned about the way that charter schools drain off students and resources from the district. And just to use a clear example that we often use, if a student leaves a district school, just pick one, just say Pulaski in the North End, the money follows the child. So the district pays for a certain amount of tuition, in our case about $12,000 a year, for that student to go to the charter school. But at the same time, the school, the Pulaski, doesn't get to make up the expenses. There's still all the other kids left in the classroom, as well as all the supports and equipment that go into teaching kids, providing an education for elementary school students. And so that's why, in essence, it tends to be a big drain. But the problem that we have, the challenge that we have in New Bedford, is that under Massachusetts law, there is a very, very heavy presumption in favor of charter expansion. This is a policy that Boston set a number of years ago, and it's one that we frankly live with today. And it's a presumption that says, in essence, that if the charter school is performing at above the state average, and has a credible operations plan, then it will be allowed to expand if there are available seats in the particular city or town. And so there are seats available in New Bedford for charters. There's a state charter cap that above which there is no availability, but New Bedford is below that cap. So that's why Alma has pursued this expansion. And under that state law, the charter can issue without regard to the financial impact on the city. And this is bad policy. This is bad state policy, in my view, because the reality is that the cities and towns up around the Boston area have far greater fiscal capacity to take on charter schools. We don't here in Massachusetts, here in New Bedford. And by the way, this is whatever you think of charter schools, the way they are funded in Massachusetts makes it very, very difficult on municipalities. And so, we stared at the reality that we were likely to get charter seats, and we tried to make the best of it, and I think we did. We were actually able to lower the number. What had been proposed was 1,188 seats. We ended up at 450 seats, and in an arrangement that would create not a choice school that would draw all across the city without reducing costs to the school district, but from a neighborhood, which means that the school would have to draw from a neighborhood. In this case, the neighborhood near the Kempton School, which has been closed for several years. Alma would get to operate that school, and they would have to pay for the renovation of the building, and it needs considerable renovation. But they would have to, and this is what's very, very different about it, they would have to draw from the neighborhood and compete on the same grounds as everybody else. And that way, I think it is a fairer approach to doing charter schools. It's fair to taxpayers, it's fair to the city generally, and it's fair to the students who are in our district schools. So there's still a number of approvals that have to happen. I know the discussion around charter schools can be counterintuitive. If I weren't so close to it, it would be lost on me as well. It is a policy debate that continues to rage, but the way that I see it, and it comes down to this, is, are we doing these two questions? Are we doing the best for our kids? And secondly, are we managing our finances as we must on behalf of the city's taxpayers? And the answer to the question in this instance is, frankly, wherever you stand on charter schools, the city saved a considerable amount of money, approximately $4 million every year in perpetuity, by doing this different arrangement than what it would have cost the city just by letting the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education go forward with their original plan. So, more to come on this, but I wanted people to understand that we are doing the best for our kids, for all the kids in the city, and that we'll continue to do that as time goes on. Lots of questions, I know, and we'll make sure that we have a very public process when it comes to especially those students who might go to that school. The last thing I'll just say on a different topic is this week is Martin Luther King Day, and we honor Dr. King's service and leadership in a very big way in New Bedford, and I encourage everybody to come out to Tifereth Israel Synagogue on Sunday before the Patriots game to participate in that ceremony. It's a great one every year, and I thank the Human Relations Commission for their hard work in putting it together every year. So we look forward to that, and hopefully I'll see you there, and go Pats.